So we have 2 more performers, and the next one also came on the very first Sister Spit ever, and then came again in, I think it was 2010. Her name is Sara Seinberg, and you know what's really funny is that you wouldn't think that like the Sister Spit makeup would be people who like are crazy about like baseball. But like the 2 biggest fucking crazy giants people I've ever known in my life are Ali Libagot, who was up here earlier, and this next person, who you might know who I'm talking about without me even pointing at her in the Giants gear, is Sara Seinberg. And she is working on this incredible novel called Pandora, and we excerpted it in the anthology, and she's going to read from it. Please welcome Sara Seinberg.
Hi guys, thanks for coming to the Sister Spit.
Thanks for missing the game.
But no problem. You guys, I have to just tell you the weirdest story ever. First of all, I want to say, who the hell is Cassie J. Snyder? What? I'm a little bit in love with her. I just saw her for the first time last week. So I was in the desert yesterday, and we were driving home, and I was trying to stay hydrated, so I had to pee a lot. And I was with my same-sex lover, Ginger. And we pulled over in the middle of nowhere, and like scary in the middle of nowhere. Like, well, I don't even know what road we were on. It was like before you get to the 5 from the desert, from like Joshua Tree. That it was like, all right, well you gotta pee, whatever. And there's like a ranch, and in front of the ranch there's like a bar and a restaurant attached to it, but they're closed. And there's a sign in the parking lot where no one is, and it says, "Smile, you're on camera." But I have to pee, so there it is. And Ginger's like, "Well, it's not open, so just pee by the car." So I'm peeing by the car, and my phone rings. And my phone rings, and when it, the number comes up, oh, that's the baseball game. And the number comes up, instead of it saying a whole number, all it has is 3 numbers, and it says 212. That's it. That's all it said. And I just think, obviously, there's some government people watching, and they're like, I don't know where you think you're peeing, but you have to stop your lesbian peeing and get out, right? So I answer the phone, because I feel like maybe we're going to get shot. And this guy says, "Hi, it's David, blah, blah, blah. Is this Sara Seinberg?" I'm like, oh my God, they know who I am. This is outrageous. And I was like, yeah, this is Sara Seinberg. And he said, I don't know what he said, what the sentence was, but I heard him say the word sweepstakes, which seemed like a dinosaur. Like, like he had said pterodactyl. And so I was like, sweepstakes, you're going to ask me for my social security number, you're going to steal my identity, whatever. And he said, no, I'm calling you from MLB.com, and when you checked into the playoff game, because you got yourself a present, you took yourself to a playoff game, and you checked in, you actually won the grand prize, and you just won 2 tickets to the Game 2 of the World Series. What? Yeah. That's right. Thank you. Anyway, and then so my last name is Steinberg, my same-sex lover Ginger, her last name is Robinson, and so together we're the Robinbergs.
Yeah.
But when I first ordered the sweatshirt, they actually sent me one that said Rosenberg. I had like a total Jew meltdown, like, oh, you sound the same, what the fuck? And but they let me keep it, so me and Ginger are matching shirts of Rosenberg and Robinberg. Don't be jealous. Okay. So, that is, you are caught up with my life, people. And so I'm working on a book, and it's a retelling of the myth of Pandora, and the lady with the fox, great mess. I'll just start. You don't need a background. You know the myth, right? Okay. Zeus's father ate his siblings, and that was long before me and my famous jar. It seems difficult to believe that all the world's evils could be crammed in on my purse when there's a god eating his kids right there out of the gate. But still, I run around in fear, centuries of mourning, mutilation, genocide, and epidemics, simple broken hearts and humiliation, useless betrayals, gout, slavery, bubonic blackness and ovens in Europe, witches burned, children sold, sailors drowned, machetes in Rwanda, the angel of death flying over bloody doorways in Egypt, Hiroshima, Irish car bombs, casual rape culture, and heroin. These things roam free, a herd of misery throughout time, but still, I lug the jar around, afraid somehow it could get worse. Don't open the jar, Pandora, they say. Something terrible will happen. But terrible things, they happen constantly. You say a word like war, and it's just 3 little letters. It's so easy. You put your lips together in a pucker, you push a little air out, you roll an R at the end. Easy word. But then inside it, the unimaginable, unless you're there, then you don't have to imagine it. You have to live through it, over and over, the rest of your small, mortal life. Mortar and mortal are only 1 letter away from each other, and that's just the English irony. All the languages have these jokes. But the war, that was the wrong letter, but the jar was a part of my birth, and so like an organ, I carted it around despite logic, wondering. Zeus had sent me to seduce Prometheus, who I knew was a trick. Zeus quickly came up with plan B to have me couple with and cripple the dimmer titan, Prometheus' brother. But Prometheus dragged Epimetheus away so fast that even plan B was just a pile of cinders before I was the age of a toddler. The whole thing was such an immediate failure. The gods forgot about me most of the time. They moved on to other things, and eventually their careless couplings with other mortals brought more women. I was no longer the special one, yet something had me march on, looking for the Titan brothers. That's what I'm hardwired to do. It's the purpose of my entire being. That, and thanks to Hera, women. The jar was my constant companion. Each night I would lay with it in my arms, feeling the contents bang into its walls throughout my dreams. I clutched it to me, protecting it from theft in the cover of darkness. I sang to it, songs of love and loss, and sometimes the saddest songs would quiet the thing, a city of nightmares in a jar. After a time, I would set it away from me, needing my own sleep for strength and travel. From across the room, I watched it by burning candles, the commotion settling into a night rhythm of humming and thumping until the sun broke. By the candlelight, I could sometimes see a glow in there. It took years to become acquainted with the residents of that jar. But the longer I got to know them, the better I could see the glow. Meanwhile, the world would spin on. Mortals made all kinds of discoveries after the theft of fire. They found electric avenues and bands of sound. They made communication strides with devices, and they took to the sea and the air for travel. They began to control the very cycles of women, create more and more means of quicker murder in hot places, moving from hands to rocks, to daggers, to arrows, to cannons, to revolvers, to lasers. They mapped poverty and drugs to wipe out swaths of populations, and they gassed piles of each other in striped clothing. Humans spent so much time and money figuring out new ways to kill each other, one wondered if they understood that they would all die at some point anyhow. Sometimes I stared at the jar and I wondered what I was. A product of the gods, not even an orphan with parents to mourn. Was I immortal? Adrift in the world with no peers, I would sometimes come upon a god who showed me kindness, protected me as a product of Olympus. And as often, I came across immortal cruelty, Ares showing off his warlike skills that would leave bruises for 16 years. Hera sending me so many gorgeous women, each one irresistible and irreparably damaged. Signs of aging would come and go, my appearance would climb to a certain wrinkle, and then as though a children's riddle, the wrinkles would fade, and my breasts would inch back up my chest. And all the while, I'd follow the Titans across the globe, not quite knowing why, and I would watch my jaw. Thanks. Woo!